That person who nicked that cap from a young tennis fan, he has apologised. That split-second exchange at the US Open.
Let's stop pretending this was just a tennis match. The US Open wasn't about aces, rallies, or trophies that night. It was about one man, one moment, and one hat. A CEO, rich, polished, the face of a successful paving empire.
So that's right, that was a grown man in the stand stealing that hat from a child after the winner of the US Open match, Camille Marchek,
reached over and snatched a signed souvenir straight from the hands of a young boy who had just been gifted it by his tennis idol. The cameras caught it, the crowd gasped, and the internet. Oh, the internet exploded. This wasn't generosity gone wrong. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was arrogance in its purest form, privilege on full display. A man in a tailored suit taking joy from a child.
He took off
because he thought he could. Because in his mind, first come, first served meant his hands before anyone else's. The boy's reaction told the whole story. His eyes widened, his mouth dropped, his little voice cracked. No! What are you doing? It was innocence colliding with entitlement, and it was broadcast to millions.
But instead, he just, snatched the hat from the kid. It's really lame, and I hope we can actually see his face.
In that second, the CEO wasn't a businessman. He wasn't a leader. He wasn't even human to the audience watching. He became a villain. And here's where the scandal turned nuclear. Instead of apologizing, instead of handing it back, the CEO doubled down.
The co-founder and CEO of a paving and landscaping company called Drogbrook. The backlash was instant. Critics hounded Drogbrook's review pages with negative comments.
He reportedly told bystanders, "It's for my kids." That tone-deaf excuse only made it worse, because everyone watching knew the truth. That wasn't for his kids, that was for his ego. Overnight, the man's name was everywhere. Screenshots of his LinkedIn, photos of his company's logo, reviews of his business flooded Google, tanking his ratings. Words like thief, bully, sociopath weren't whispered in corners, they were blasted across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. This wasn't just a hat, this was a cultural lightning strike. The image of a rich man stealing from a child became a symbol of everything people already hate about power.
Marchek then asked his fans to help him find the aggrieved child, and they did, and he made the child whole again.
The greed, the arrogance, the shamelessness. In a world where billionaires fly rockets into space while families struggle to pay rent, one CEO reminded everyone how unfair the game really feels. And the timing, brutal. The US Open is one of the most watched sporting events in the world. That clip wasn't buried. It was replayed on highlight reels, stitched into TikToks, captioned into memes. The CEO's name became a punchline, his company a symbol of corruption. Here's the twist Ms. Cathy sees. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't heat of the moment.
The CEO who snatched a signed hat away from a young fan at a tennis match has officially lost his job at the company.
This was a man so used to winning, so used to taking, that he didn't even realize the cameras were there. He thought nobody would care. He thought it was just a hat. But that hat became the most expensive souvenir in history, because it didn't just cost him a cap, it cost him his empire. By the next day, the fallout was merciless. His company's phone lines were jammed with angry callers. Emails poured in, demanding refunds, demanding boycotts, demanding his resignation. Competitors smelled blood in the water. And investors, they panicked. A single viral moment was now threatening the stability of an entire business built over decades. And the CEO, he broke his silence. He issued a statement calling it a mistake, a lesson in humility.
A Polish millionaire is speaking out today after facing backlash for stealing a hat from a child at the US Open this week.
But the apology came too late. The internet doesn't forgive, it doesn't forget, and it certainly doesn't wait. His words were dissected, mocked, turned into memes. Headlines didn't say apology accepted. They said CEO who stole hat from kid calls it lesson in humility. Every sentence he spoke only fueled the flames. Meanwhile, the hero emerged. Kamil Majtrzak, the tennis player who signed the hat, tracked down the boy. He gave him a new one, signed it again, threw in merch, took photos. In one afternoon, Majtrzak flipped the story. He became the savior, the face of kindness, the symbol of what sports should be. And that only made the CEO look smaller, meaner, colder. Because now the scandal wasn't about the hat, it was about contrast. The boy got kindness from the player, cruelty from the CEO. The world saw a line drawn in the sand, good versus evil, compassion versus arrogance. And the memes kept rolling, TikToks of the snatch cut with villain music, tweets comparing him to movie bad guys, Facebook posts calling for his resignation. Even LinkedIn turned against him. Professionals writing open letters about integrity, about leadership, about how a single act can reveal your true character.
It's outrageous that this man would do that, just grab the hat out of the kid's hands. I feel bad for the kid, but he did try. He tried to defend himself there, but...
And here's the emotional dagger. Parents everywhere saw their own kids in that boy. They didn't see tennis. They didn't see a hat. They saw childhood innocence crushed by greed. They saw their worst fear, that the powerful will always take from the powerless. And that's why this story didn't die in 24 hours. It lived, it grew, it metastasized. Now Ms. Cathy is asking the real question, and I want you to answer in the comments. Was this really just one bad decision? Or did the CEO reveal who he truly is when he stole that hat? Drop your hot take, because this isn't about tennis anymore. This is about power. And when a man shows you who he is, the world has to decide, do we cancel him or do we forgive him? The CEO thought it was just a souvenir, but it became evidence.
It was the hat snatch seen around the world, razor fast and heartbreaking for this little tennis fan.
Evidence in the trial of public opinion. Let's talk about the empire, because this scandal didn't just embarrass him. It cracked the foundation he built his wealth on. Within a week, his company was bleeding. Contracts were under review. Partners didn't want to be associated with the hat thief. Investors whispered about pulling out. Some clients reportedly cancelled deals outright, afraid their names would be dragged into the storm. A moment that lasted 3 seconds on live TV, from celebrated leader to internet meme, from powerful to powerless. That's not just a fall, that's an implosion. But here's the darker twist. Insiders whispered that this wasn't his first scandal. Employees hinted at a culture of arrogance, of entitlement, of a man who always put himself first. The hat wasn't a one-off, they said. It was a pattern. And when the video surfaced, it wasn't just proof of one act. It was proof of a lifetime. Now, every move he makes is under the microscope. Paparazzi camped outside his house, journalists digging through his past, rivals feeding stories to the press. This isn't a scandal you walk away from. This is a scandal that clings, that grows, that defines you forever.
After facing criticism online, the man responded by saying, quote, "If you were faster, you would have it."
And that's the emotional gut punch. Because the boy moved on, he got his new hat, his photo, his happy ending. But the CEO, he can't move on. He's frozen in that moment, forever the villain who stole from a child. This wasn't about a hat. This was about exposure, about one act that revealed the truth, about the collapse of an image built on power and respectability. And once the mask slipped, once the cameras caught the real man, there was no putting it back on. So when you scroll past the clip, when you see the memes, when you hear the words "hat thief CEO," remember, this isn't just a viral moment. This is a fall from grace. A reminder that in a world where every phone is a camera, every second is evidence, and every scandal is forever, you're only one bad decision away from losing everything. He thought he won a hat. Instead, he lost an empire.